The Damiano Gambit starts out with 4 moves: e4, e5, knight f3, and f6. There are now 5 main responses you'll see from white. Knight takes to go into a trap, which we'll see later. Bishop c4 controls the long diagonal from a2 to g8, also controls black's king side. You will see knight c3 develops 2 knights, white's up 2 tempi. You will see d3 to go into a king's Indian attack formation. Lastly, you'll see d4 attacks the central pawn. The pawns attack c5, d5, e5, and f5. Also opens up their 2 bishops to go to a6 and h6. First, let's look at the most critical move. Knight takes e5. This is the most critical move because if black is greedy, takes the knight saying, "Oh my god, I won material!" White's queen can now jump to h5, forking the king and the pawn. If black plays g6, we take with check, forks this rook. His only move is king here. He could also play knight here and bishop here. In any case, we take the rook. That being said, his only move in this position is king e7. Queen takes e5. King to f7. Bishop c4 check. He has 2 responses now. d5 and king g6. I'm not going to go too far into this trap because you could look it up yourself. So after the move, knight takes. Our only move that dampens white's attack in this position is queen e7. Sorry. After the move queen e7, white has 4 main options that he can play. Knight f3, the correct response to queen e7. Knight c4. Knight d3, the second best. And knight g4, the 4th best. The 3rd best is knight c4. So, after knight c4, black would play d5, double attack the pawn on e4, also attacks the knight. To stop the attack, the queen moves to h5 with check. After g6, the queen takes on d5. Now we play knight c6 to jump to b4, take the pawn with check, also forks the rook. So white wants to stop this with queen b5 check, bishop d7, and now we go into a forced line after queen takes b7, bishop to c6 to stop the queen from taking the rook. Now we play knight here to d6 check. We have to take with the queen. Taking the pawn make us lose over 2 pawns, so we take with the queen. White needs to stop us from gaining our material back. For the queen, with bishop b5, pins the bishop right here to the king. It's an absolute pin. We have to save our king by moving to f7. Now after bishop takes c6, queen takes c6, queen takes c6, and knight takes c6. Both sides are equal in material, but black is a little better because he's ahead in development. He can attack here or here. He has more open files and an easier time developing. If instead white plays c3 to stop, we play f5 to attack the pawn even more. He plays d3. Now we play bishop d7. He advances the pawn forward, so this won't get attacked anymore. We can play knight f6, develop a piece. He can't take, because we take, so we can develop it there. After bishop g5 and queenside castling, we can say black has an advantage of -1 because he is so much up in development. And now he's probably gonna win the game because he's up that much development. If knight to d3, we play takes. Now there's two ways to block the check, either with queen to e2 or bishop to e2. If bishop e2, queen takes g2, rook slides to f1. If he slides to f1, you take the pawn here. So he has to play bishop to f3. We retreat to g5, and we won our material back. That's why the best move in this position to block the check is queen to e2. Now after queen takes, check, bishop takes, d5, we want to gain more of the center. Castles, bishop d6, b3. He wants to develop his bishop here because his pawn is blocked by the knight. So knight c6, develop the queen side. Bishop e2, knight g7 to develop the king side. Knight c3, bishop f5. We can see here that both sides have equal. If instead white plays c3 to stop, we play f5 to attack the pawn even more. He plays d3. Now we play bishop d7. He advances the pawn forward, so this won't get attacked anymore. We can play knight f6, develop a piece. He can't take, because we take, so we can develop it there. After bishop g5 and queenside castling, we can say black has an advantage of -1 because he is so much up in development. And now he's probably gonna win the game because he's up that much development. If knight to d3, we play takes. Now, there's two ways to block the check, either with queen to e2 or bishop to e2. If bishop e2, queen takes g2, rook slides to f1. If he slides to f1, you take the pawn here. So he has to play bishop to f3. You retreat to g5, and we won our material back. That's why the best move in this position to block the check is queen to e2. Now after queen takes, check, bishop takes, d5, we want to gain more of the center. Castles, bishop d6, b3. He wants to develop his bishop here because his pawn is blocked by the knight. So, knight c6, develop the queen side. Bishop e2, knight g e7 to develop the king side. Knight c3, bishop f5. We can see here that both sides have equal chances of attacking. White now has three options: bishop b5 check, d3, and d4. If d4, we simply take knight f. We play f5, bishop to c4, knight c6, castles, and knight f6. We can play next move, bishop e6 to attack the bishop on c4 and get ready to castle queenside. So after d5, white also has the move bishop b5, but we block with c6. Let's now take a look at d3. In this position, after d3, black's best move is d takes e4, d takes e4, and queen takes e4 with check. White has three options of blocking the check: bishop e3, queen e2, bishop to e2. If the move bishop e3 is played, we play knight c3 to develop the queen side. Knight c3 attacks the queen on e4, so you have to stop it with absolute pin on with bishop b4. And now bishop d3 attacks. Queen moves to g4. We have white now has two options: castles and h3. h3 actually sets a little trap, because if queen takes on g2, rook to h2, white lost his queen because he can't move here or here, here, because it's lost. So the best move in this position is to simply retreat back to h5 and if g4, bishop takes on g4, because if h takes, we take the rook.